Everybody, welcome back. The Bedbug Guy is here, and today I wanted to do a video to really expand on and elaborate on what I touched on in the original video, my thoughts about the Joe Rogan interview with Zahi Hawass. And mainly that is, why didn't Zahi know what Zep Tepi was? Okay? And for those of you who maybe not have any clue what Zep Tepi is, and you heard the show, it refers to the Egyptian creation story. And real quick, I'll nutshell it for you. In the beginning, they said there was nothing but this primordial ocean. And everything already existed. It just wasn't activated, if you will. And at some point, the first god, depending on which creation story you're reading, it's either Atum or Ra or Khepera. They're all Ra. Wills himself into existence or speaks himself into existence. Doesn't matter which way he did it, just he exists. And he's floating around in this ocean and says, this is BS. I really want a place to stand. So he wills into existence a piece of land that is called the mound of creation. And from there, he goes on to get the whole thing going. And this is what the term Zep Tepi is referring to, is that mound of creation, the beginning. And while we're talking about it, for a little bonus, I'd like to go ahead and tell you guys the next part of the story that gets conveniently omitted when it's discussed in public for a reason that will become apparent. And boy, if you have any little kids around and you don't want to explain something to them, watch out for the next minute. And the most genteel way for me to do this is to read directly from the translation in the walls of Heliopolis exactly what he said. So you have to pay attention and think in your mind. It's Ra, and he says, I had union with my clenched hand. Are we all on the same page? We know what's going on. Union with the clenched hands. With my heart, and out of my hand, the seed, which fell into my mouth, and I spat in the form of shoe, and I emitted water in the form of Tefnut. Don't know what that means. So this is how he created the first two gods, Shu and Tefnut. He had union with his clenched hand and took the seed into his mouth. I'm not going to say any more than that. If you don't get it, just call the most disgusting man you know. He'll explain it to you. Anyway, back. He's on the mound of creation. He creates Shu and Tefnut, the first two gods, and brings the whole thing stems from there. So this original piece of land would be what Zep Tepi refers to. Okay? The place where everything started, the Garden of Eden. So during this interview with Joe Rogan, Dr. Hawass, Joe asks, what do you think about the idea that Giza is Zep Tepi? To which Dr. Hawass goes ballistic. Oh, this is a lie. Never heard of it. Well, why had he never heard of it? Well, I know why. There's two reasons. The first one leads into the second one, and the second reason is most telling. But here's the deal. The first reason he doesn't know about it is because nowhere in ancient Egyptian texts about the creation does it mention the term Zep Tepi in reference to that mound of creation. And as you see, these encyclopedias I have, they lay out all the hieroglyphs, tell you where to go look at it so you can translate for yourself. No Zep Tepi. And honestly, I had been consuming Egyptology, mostly mainstream, for the first half of my life. And I'd never heard that term until I'd watched a show of Ancient Aliens maybe 15 years ago. And at that point, I had started to read a whole lot more and expand. And of course, I come across the term Zep Tepi all the time. I know what it means. So what Joe's referring to is that Giza, something was already there before the first pyramid was dropped. It was already a holy site. Possibly the Egyptians, ancient Egyptians, Old Kingdom Egyptians, viewed the Giza Plateau as the original mound of creation, or Zep Tepi, if you will. And I'm totally on board with this idea. There is some circumstantial evidence to support it. And Zahi even mentioned a part of it, but didn't make the connection. One thing is that the Great Pyramid does not sit directly on the ground. It is on top of another structure, either natural or man-made, but it leveraged something that was already there. And Dr. Hawass said the first 28 feet of the pyramid is bedrock. Okay? And then the stones. So something was already there. Another piece of circumstantial evidence is there's a lot of shafts and caverns carved into the Giza Plateau. They're clearly old and eroded. Nobody's exactly sure what they're for. The cherry on top for me is the original Old Kingdom name for the Sphinx was Tefnudi. And Tefnudi means follower of Tefnut. And as we know from the disgusting part of the myth I just told you, Tefnut is one of the first gods to come forth from that mound of creation. Okay? But Zahi's never heard of it. And I hadn't up until recently because it doesn't appear really in any ancient Egyptian text. It might. I haven't come across it. If you know the exact text where I can find that term, let me know. I'll check it out. But I decided to look at the words. So I opened up my hieroglyphic dictionaries to look up the words first and occasion, and I came up with Sep Wepet. Sep Wepet, Zep Tepi. You know what? It's the same thing. We don't need to split hairs on the pronunciation of words from a somewhat dead language. So Zep Tepi, Sep Wepet. Whatever Zep Tepi comes from, it's clearly ancient Egyptian, and the term Zep Tepi is a good term to use when referring to the original mound of creation. So it's fine, but it mostly appears, as I've seen, the term Zep Tepi mostly appears in alternative research, which leads me into the second reason that Dr. Hawass has never heard of it. And that reason is he apparently doesn't read anything by anyone else except maybe himself. So that means when he says, I talked to John Anthony West and Graham Hancock, and he gets in these big fights with them, well, he's never read their work. He doesn't read any of that. Because he doesn't care. Okay? He literally doesn't care. He does not want to keep space in his gray matter for any of this. Okay? Which presents a problem, really, not just for him or the rest of us, but for Egyptology in general. Because if he would read some of this material before he engages with people, he would know what questions he needs to answer, and above all else, why he is being questioned. So literally, he doesn't care. If it's not something he approves or he wrote or one of his closest approved people wrote, he's not reading it. So when he meets it, he has no clue where Graham Hancock's coming from. That's why he gets all aggravated and defensive, other than that's his personality. That's how he operates. So that's it. What else can I say? He didn't know it because he doesn't know it. He had never heard it. He hasn't heard it in any text he wrote. He doesn't read anybody else's books. How would he know what the term Zep Tepi means? That's his problem. Probably the biggest one, really, but not his only problem. Anyway, thanks for stopping by. Hopefully that clears that up. Any questions, comments, concerns, or hate, please put it in the comments. Thank you to all those who have subscribed recently. I love all of the subscribers. If you would like to be loved by me, oh, please hit the subscribe button. Give me a like. Drop a comment. Love it when you stop by. If you want me to talk about anything that you're interested in or answer a question you might have, drop it in the comments. I'll make a video about it. Till next time, bye.